2, 3.
Before we started the recording, that my brother had a very, and I used the word had, very severe colitis or Crohn's. I don't know the difference, and that's one of the first things that we're going to talk about. But he had one or two of them, and yeah, he was in a lot of pain. That's all I know. And he had to have 2 surgeries and change his whole diet, and he's doing better now. So, as we start off the conversation, what is ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease? Are they one and the same, or they two different things? Or tell us what that really is.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wonder about that. And there are two forms of inflammatory bowel disease. So it's chronic inflammation we don't understand. It's a type of autoimmune disease that goes anything from the oral cavity all the way down to the anus. So the whole 28 to 30 feet of the GI tract can be inflamed. Crohn's disease can be the full GI tract, where ulcerative colitis tends to be only the large intestine. So it's where the inflammation, how much inflammation, and then they have subcategories there. Maybe microscopic colitis or pancolitis could be examples. And so it's different ways of describing where they're finding the inflammation and the severity of that inflammation, whether it's ulcerative or not, microscopic or not, and where in the GI tract, the duodenum, ileum, jejunum, or the large intestine.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio podcast and television show. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Dane Johnson, founder and CEO of Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle. And Dane and I are going to be talking today on the topic tips to heal ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. I hope you're not troubling with that. I hope you haven't had that experience. But if you have, what we want to do today is let you know that there's hope beyond your pain, beyond your struggle. And Dane has personal experience. And if you look at him now, if you're watching on TV or you're watching on YouTube, you'll see he is the bill of health. First thing I said to him today is, you don't look like what you've gone through. And that's the message we want to give to you today. So welcome, Dane.
Thank you so much, Myrna, for having me out. I feel blessed to be here, and everyone listening in, let's get life-changing results today. Let's bring the real heat. What's actually happening with our gut? How can we fix it? What are some simple takeaways that you can use today to transform your gut health, eliminate that inflammation, and really be healthier than the healthy? That's what I want to really transform and create for everyone listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. All right. Well, let me give you guys a brief introduction to set the table for my conversation with Dane. At 23 years old and at the height of his actor modeling career, Dane was diagnosed with both severe ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and his life was torn apart. Over the next 4 years, he lost 60 pounds, y'all, had 20 bloody bowel movements per day. Can you imagine? Was in extreme pain, had anemia, no energy, sleepless nights, and was eventually struggling to save his own life. After years of these unbearable symptoms and effective steroids, antibiotics, and biologics, he was completely unrecognizable and stuck in mental prison. In 2014, Dane's life came to a breaking point when his entire family flew to the hospital for his near-death experience from IBD complications. Dane realized the only way he could regain his life and his freedom would be to do it himself, to become the CEO of his health. Fast forward 10 years, Dane not only was able to fully recover from this experience naturally, but has helped thousands of people around the world to do the same. He has become one of the most successful IBD healers in the world, but more importantly, a visionary for true healing. He is now the CEO and founder of Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, the largest and most successful IBD consulting firm globally. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Thank
Now,
you.
as I was mentioning to Dane before we started the recording, that my brother had a very, and I used the word had, very severe colitis or Crohn's. I don't know the difference, and that's one of the first things that we're going to talk about. But he had one or two of them, and yeah, he was in a lot of pain. That's all I know. And he had to have two surgeries and change his whole diet. And he's doing better now. So, as we start off the conversation, what is ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease? Are they one and the same, or do two different things? Or tell us what that really is.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wonder about that. And there are two forms of inflammatory bowel disease. So it's chronic inflammation we don't understand. It's a type of autoimmune disease that goes anything from the oral cavity all the way down to the anus. So the whole 28 to 30 feet of the GI tract can be inflamed. Crohn's disease can be the full GI tract, where ulcerative colitis tends to be only the large intestine. So it's where the inflammation, how much inflammation, and then they have subcategories there. Maybe microscopic colitis or pancolitis could be examples. And so it's different ways of describing where they're finding the inflammation and the severity of that inflammation, whether it's ulcerative or not, microscopic or not, and where in the GI tract, the duodenum, ileum, jejunum, or the large intestine. And I know a lot of people are wondering, like, what is this? Because it's an epidemic. One thing I want everyone to realize right now is this disease really did not exist in 1955. It's rare, extremely rare, even up to the 1980s, extremely rare. In the year 1999 in the United States, about 1 million people had been diagnosed with some form of inflammatory bowel disease. By 2015, over 2 million people had been diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. And then just a few years later, nowadays, it's about 3.8 million roughly diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease. So it is trending tremendously higher,
Words, right?
and that's just diagnosis. That's not undiagnosed. And then we have people with IBS. Maybe listeners are dealing with IBS, the urgency, the constipation, the bloat, the brain fog. I like to think of that metaphorically as almost pre-IBD. You have pre-diabetic,
Mm-hmm.
diabetic, and then different forms of diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pre-IBD, where the microbiome is off, the digestion is off, we have bacteria overgrowth, we get fermenting. This causes brain fog, low energy, bloat, cramp, an inability to properly evacuate a stool, uh, maybe arthritic pains, back pain, skin issues, headaches, poor sleep, anxiety, hormonal conditions, because all disease roots in the gut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All disease roots in the gut. So when your gut's off, you can't properly absorb fat soluble vitamins and make cholesterol and make hormones. And you can't properly absorb and utilize protein and properly absorb iron. And so you're not, you can become anemic. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get proper electrolytes. This is how I went from 190 pounds at 6'2" down to 122 pounds.
Wow. Wow.
So I didn't do it because I was on the Atkins diet. I'll tell you that right now. All right, I wasn't doing the carnivore. Oh, let's fast for 40 days. Let's do
Who's that?
Lenten fast.
Wants to be 122 pounds at 6'2". No. Right,
I,
right.
I lifted weights 6 days a week. I would eat anywhere from 3 to 4,000 calories before all this. I was a strong guy. I could move a lot of weight in the gym. I'd work out 5 to 6 days a week, weight training. I was an athlete. So for me to go all the way there where I could not walk, wheelchair, I was on 200 milligrams of infused prednisone. I was on TPN feeding tube. So they made an incision inside my arm to feed me through that that tube into my stomach. So just completely liquid. I wouldn't eat anything for a little while. And then I was on Dilaudid, which is 7 times stronger than morphine as a painkiller.
Oh my goodness.
And I had failed in Remicade and Tivio. I was told I had to get a full colectomy in the hospital. Now, I had already been practicing natural medicine for many years. I've been practicing teaching, helping, serving for the last about 14 years. And I decided I was not going to get a surgery. And I defied all my doctors saying, I'm not going to get the surgery. And today, I have not taken a medication, not mesalamine, not prednisone, not Entyvio, Remicade, not methotrexate, 6MP in over 10 years. So the
Guys.
beginning of 2015 was the last medication I ever took. It's now mid to 2025.
Wow.
And I think I found a higher purpose. I think, pain to purpose. The worst thing that ever happened became the best. Not only did I help serve myself with that, but I wanted to build the world a community for others who did not want this disease to be their final saying, to say this disease to define them. So I built the Shield program. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, and I became a practitioner myself, specialized a functional medicine practitioner, specializing in IBD. And then I started hiring different practitioners, such as different variety of doctors or nurses or just functional medicine practitioners practicing as a consultant around IBD, not acting as medical advisors. And then we have those practitioners in Europe, Dubai, Canada, US. We see right now clients in all over the world, India, Africa, Europe. We post one testimony a week of completely reversing someone's IBD experience. And we can use, if they want to use medications, we are open to that. We don't tell them not to get on medications or not, but we have hundreds and hundreds, 500, 600, 700 testimonies at this point, and we see about 200 people a week with IBD.
Wow.
And another thing that's cool about, why I'm here and why I want to show people that they should know about me is, you know, um, everyone on my team has IBD. About 90%, I'd say. 9 out of 10 of my team members actually were diagnosed with IBD ourselves. And then what also unique that we do is we completely customize. So if I was to see you or your brother, we look at the case. We do not say, here's your generic supplements, here's your generic diet. You have to be AIP, you have to be carnivore, you have to eat 500 bananas a day, you have to be SED. We look at you, we say, what makes you happy? What's your culture? What's your creed? What's your lifestyle? What's the kid's schedule? And how's your body responding to strong biofilm busters if you're advanced, or parasite cleanses or liver detox? Big
Mhm.
words for people who might be listening who have real
Yeah.
experience, right?
Yeah.
So we can play ABCs and get you great results with no experience, or we can go double black belt ninja karate mode with you and do high level bunch of
Wow. Wow. All right, so let's talk about what exactly is happening to your body. Like I said, my brother had or has it, I think it's lifetime. Um, and his experience was pain, pressure. He couldn't even sit. He had to lay down because this is just pressure. And he couldn't eat things like meat. He had to go, vegetables or soup or something. So what's going on there, and how is that different from your experience? I mean, what was your symptoms really, other than the bloody stools or whatever? Can you back up and tell what you think was happening? It was him, and if yours was any similar, or what is generic thing that somebody that's having both of them? Your whole colon is inflamed. What is going to be your symptoms?
So symptoms, generically, common symptoms of ulcerative colitis are going to be blood in the stool, mucus, urgency, undigested food, diarrhea or loose stool, multiple bowel movements a day, weight loss, anemia. Very common. Ulcerative colitis tends to be that really scary version of what's happening. Now, people with Crohn's disease can also have that colon inflammation. Remember, Crohn's is widespread. Crohn's can, generically speaking, be a little bit more hidden if the problem's just in the ileum. So that middle of the intestines, where the colon could still be healthy, but there's inflammation, dysbiosis, chronic autoimmune reactions happening in this part of the intestines that's right in the middle. So it could be pain, strictures, which sounds like your brother was getting pain, strictures, lack of ability to move things because of an obstruction. So they
Right.
have to do surgeries to remove that stricture or that obstruction so he can properly move things, or else he gets terrible pain. And that's why I need pureed, broken down plant food that has a little bit of fiber, maybe a little bit of fruit, high water to move things, because meat
Okay.
is very dense and it has no fiber. Fiber is only in plant food, and fiber is the indigestible matter that helps move things along. It can help with transit time, right? Think of like moving something down a river. You want a log that floats in the river and moves with the river, not a rock that sinks. Meat acts like a rock, and a log might float and help move down the river. So, like fruits and chia seed and certain, like a butternut squash soup or bananas, those things, can help move the bowels. That's one of the reasons why a fruitarian diet got famous, is because it's high in water, it's high in monosaccharides, so simple, easy to digest sugars, and then it's very good for helping to cleanse the GI tract. It moves things very nicely. So some people have done like a fruit diet for a number of weeks or months to cleanse the colon and reset that colon. That's one of the big root discoveries they're looking for. So, but you said something I want everyone to be aware of right now is that your brother couldn't handle meat, but me myself, the only thing I could handle was meat
Oh,
because he couldn't sit, a lot of pain. I
right.
would go to the bathroom 30 times a day. I had to slow the river
Okay.
and was losing weight. So a lot of times the first thing that ever helped me was I had to really micromanage my plant foods because of natural plant defenses, skins, and seeds. Like if your gut hurts and you eat a raw salad and you see a bunch of undigested raw salad come out the other end, you're going, that's probably not helping. That's that undigested food's not supposed to be undigested in the colon. It should have been broken
Right.
down in the stomach, further broken down in the duodenum, and then properly absorbed in the ileum. These are all the biology words of the GI tract.
Mhm.
And so that goes to show how we all need a custom plan.
Yeah.
That's why I refuse to make a McDonald's drive-through of healing IBD. And I
Right.
refuse to give these one size fits all plans for people. And that's why we customize and we critique.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be met where they are. It needs to make sense for how not only how you feel, but what your body is telling us and your tolerance.
Mm.
So customization. So when people
Customization.
go,
Wow.
what is Crohn's? How do I know if I have Crohn's? Well, you get diagnosed through colonoscopy, visual, which is also subjective. Realize that a diagnosis, everyone, is subjective. That just means that it is a matter of opinion. Objective means there is no opinion. It's fact, right?
Mhm.
Like we are alive today. That's subjective, right? You have Crohn's versus ulcerative colitis. That's subjective. Or you
Mhm.
have IBS versus IBD. So there are many ways they can diagnose. They can use an IBD antibody panel that can show them antibodies, which is a deeper level of inflammation, showing that your body's reacting at high levels. So people who have like a antibody level of so-called ASCA, anti-Saccharomyces cerevisiae antibodies, is about 70% relevant to those who have Crohn's disease. So it's about 7 out of 10 people who have that high also have Crohn's disease,
Mm.
right? And there's another one called PANCA and a few others. So you could do antibody tests, you could do a colonoscopy, endoscopy. You can take samples from the colonoscopy and endoscopy and look under the microscope for microscopic inflammation. And you can look at a Mayo score, so they look at symptoms and see what's happening. So there's many ways that we diagnose, and that's why doctors have different opinions. Where you go to one doctor and they say you have X, and the other one says you don't have X, and the other one says you have Y, and then the other one says you have Y and Z, and you go,
Wow.
I'm sick, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's why I was diagnosed with both Crohn's and colitis. Two different doctors, two different opinions, probably three different doctors. And eventually I said, I have chronic inflammation in the bowel. The doctors don't know what causes it. They're offering us medications. They're offering us surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed that my body was not meant to be sick, that I had the ability to heal, and that food did matter, that mindset did matter, that spiritualism did matter, and
Yeah.
that there was a way that I could rebuild my body.
Okay.
And
Amazing.
to bring that in and make everyone else, if you're looking for more faith around that, look at how we have so much faith to rebuild the knee.
The knee?
The
Okay.
knee,
All right.
take any,
All right.
the shoulder. If you have an athlete who gets a torn ACL 200 years ago, that's it. You're not walking again. But
Mhm.
now we go, oh, it's a bad knee. You can cast it. You can ice it. You can put it up. You can do physical therapy on it. And is it going to be better in a week? No. Is it going to be better in 2 months? It'll be better, but you still aren't going to be running again.
All right. All
About a
right.
year
All
from
right.
now, you'll be back on the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
It's true.
you look at it, you go, there are many layers to what it is to heal something. And if we can heal the knee, we can heal the shoulder, we can heal, all parts of our body. Why can't we heal this tissue in our gut?
Yeah, I'm sure you can. All right. So let's just drive it back a little bit. So you said something was very interesting. That IBS, again, I don't know the difference between IBS and IBD, but I think you said IBS is is like pre-diabetes. And my brother has IBS, my sister has IBS, where they can't have milk, and certain things make them go to the bathroom a lot. And then my other brother has this full-blown colitis. Now I don't have it.
Mhm.
So is this something that's hereditary? How do we prevent this inflammation? Is there something we can do to prevent it?
So, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is not considered a chronic inflammatory autoimmune disease. Inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, is.
Uh-huh.
And metaphorically speaking, in my opinion, not scientific fact or medical fact, that people with IBS, I believe, are at a higher risk of eventually developing IBD.
IBD. Okay.
So we've had many members come in who said, I had IBS for 10 years and they did colonoscopies, they saw nothing. And then I woke up one day and I saw blood. They did another colonoscopy and finally diagnosed me with IBD.
Okay.
So disease can be moving. We think that a diagnosis is kind of permanent, like that's it. But it can transform to get worse and it can transform to get better.
Better.
It's a
Right.
snapshot in time. So to get people hopeful about that, I can also say, what good is a diagnosis if they can no longer diagnose it in the future? So if a doctor didn't know that I was diagnosed with IBD and I go back to a brand new doctor and he does all the antibody tests and a colonoscopy and he says a normal colonoscopy, what would he diagnose me with? He or she?
Nothing. You're
Yeah, you're
healed.
fine. You're fine. Without knowing my background, they can no longer diagnose it.
Right, right. But they know your background because it follows you.
And so this same thing with IBS is like they go, oh, well, I don't have IBD, I have IBS. And you have to realize it's subjective. And that means for now. That's your label for now. And so what can you do about it?
All right. Well, still break it down a little bit further. So IBS is you can't drink milk, for instance, your lactose intolerance, which is most people. What's the difference between IBD? So you start off being lactose intolerance. What is the progression to get to IBD and what's the difference?
What they find in a test. So if they see certain antibodies and they see the inflammation and they can measure the inflammation in your colonoscopy or endoscopy. So IBS, they don't see inflammation. You could have 15 diarrhea bowel movements a day, but when they actually do your test, your antibodies are normal and your colonoscopy does not look inflamed and butchered, basically. Because, when I was at my worst, my colonoscopy looked like it had been through a war zone. My doctor was so upset that I wasn't following certain um, parts of her advice because my colonoscopy was so bad.
Okay.
But then my next colonoscopy without medications using natural medicine for almost a year was about 90% normal.
Nice.
She said, what are you doing? And I said, she said, okay, 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 just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, because it's looking better. Whatever you're doing. If you need me, I'm here. And I think a lot of us are worried about that. And so what can you start to do? What are some takeaways you can use today to support your gut and make sure you continue to feel better? Because really, there's the fear of this disease could progress, but really, I want to enroll everyone in the desire to feel your best. And I want to give you one big takeaway right now: to look your best, to feel your best, to naturally have the best energy, to have the best skin, to have the flattest tummy, to have the thickest, most luscious hair, the lightest eyes, is 95% the same thing as what it takes to heal your gut.
Okay. All right. All right. So,
Beauty and energy and vitality
right.
go
Okay.
hand in hand with opening up your health, rebalancing your microbiome, opening your liver, your drainage pathways. Okay. Getting your liver to proper function, getting your microbiome properly functioning, eating proper food and eliminating processed foods, processed sugars, processed seed oils,
Mm.
eliminating and then giving the things your body needs for proper mitochondria production and to
Right.
release and get rid of these senescent cells that could turn into cancer cells and be properly hydrated. I mean, your skin to look good is about proper hydration,
Mm.
right? Not getting in the sun too much like me, who's Mr. Lobster today from Father's Day, right? So so some takeaways you could do. Number one is try to focus more on eating things that don't require an ingredient label. A lot of us go, well, I'm
Whole
looking at
foods, right?
the
Yes,
label,
right.
there's 50 things in it. What do I know is bad? Is it the sorghum? Is it the polysorbate 80 or the red dye? And you go, what is all that? Skip all that. A simple takeaway is try to eat more foods that don't require an ingredient list. And
Right.
that's going to be everything on the outside of the grocery store. 80% of your time should be on the outside of the grocery store. 10% of your time should be on the inside because
Yeah.
everything that has a package you have to open or plastic you have to open that has an ingredient list will have some sort of convenience fee,
Mm.
right? Think about it. If you want to get something quick and easy, you want to get at the front of the line at a amusement park, you got to pay for that convenience fee.
Mm.
Your health
Mhm,
gains
mhm,
with the convenience of not taking the time to cook and prepare food and have local farm stuff, or
right.
the convenience fee of I'm not going to spend the extra money on organic or healthy foods. So, but that's really hard for that was hard for me, and I know people out there listening, that's hard. So how do we simplify this and make it something we can do? Start your day with something like a shake or a tea. Okay, that can be great because look, I don't have to cook a shake. What's the cleanup of a shake? It's way more cost effective. If you buy a smoothie, it's going to be more expensive than if you make a smoothie. And you can make the smoothie much more organic. You can make it customized to you. You can make it exactly what you need for your health. A smoothie is one of the very few things that actually is better for you and cheaper. That's not true with other foods, right?
Well, maybe that's why I don't have it because I always start my day with a smoothie. Not start my day. I go for my walk and then I come back from the gym or whatever. Then I have my smoothie. But yeah, I drink a smoothie every day, so that's probably why I don't have it.
You might be. And so you could go, people go, well, what about sugar? And what about this? And what about fats? And what about if I'm still hungry? At first, you just want to find something. And you don't have to have a smoothie every day. You could say, I'm going to do it 4 days a week. I got to wake up at 5 a.m. and get to work. I'm going to do this quickly. And then the other days, I might have eggs or I might have oatmeal. And there's a lot I can teach you about how to do all that in a way that's a win-win, that is doable, and also continues to be great for your gut. I call it food philosophy. Eliminate a diet and build a lifestyle that makes you both happy and healthy. I
Wow.
failed because the diets were not making me happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they were
Yeah.
hitting my life, my travel, all of it. Yeah.
Oh, I just did an interview of so I know about the senescent cells. I mean, actually, my interview that's airing today is talking about that. So I know what that is. Um, so I mean, just throwing something out there. I know that if you fast and you get autophagy and all those different things, it kinds of resets. Does any of that work, or is it all diet?
No, not everything. Healing is never one thing. It's things in conjunction done symbiotically. Remember. Okay, two takeaways I want you guys to write down today. It's never one root cause. It's always root causes.
Mm,
Always. Okay, the body works in a circle. If there's like imagine 10 different specks or points that are important on that circle, and if one of them is broken, it hurts the other one. So you have to get all 10, like the nervous system, emotion, ability to eat consistently healthier foods, the ability to sleep properly with the circadian rhythm, the ability to absorb nutrients your body can use at a cellular level, to repair the gut lining and the microbiome, right? All of these things are very important in that process. So it's something that you have to um, put your best foot forward in saying, what can I do? What can I handle? And then start to compound as you have more time. Okay. Um, and so the can you hold on one second, Mira? Can we cut right here? Hold on, my 5-year-old is I gotta hold on. He's making a lot of noise. So you gotta remember to do everything combined. But the trick is to find something that works for you. So if we use that example of a smoothie, some of us are going to do really well with maybe banana and blueberry. Those are my two favorite generically to start with. And maybe I add in some bone broth protein or acacia fiber to regulate a fermentation response and start getting a light amount of fiber my body can handle. Maybe I use what's called a demulcent herb like slippery elm that acts as a mucosal healer. These are all great things you can add in. Maybe you add a little avocado or raw extra virgin olive oil for polyphenols and oleic acid that feed the mucous membrane. These are big, big words for basically make your gut strong, increase bioavailability, get natural energy. Or you add in a multivitamin. You know, there's so much you can do. And I know it's beyond what we can talk about today, but I want to give you some takeaways that make sure you can be consistent, make sure it makes you happy, make sure it tastes good. Don't go for perfection yet. Don't go and figure out where can it fit my budget, where do I like it, and what are the benefits? I need like 2 or 3 benefits of it, right? And what it does for my body. But I'll tell you, that shake we just mentioned, no matter how you do it, if you do this fruit or that fat or that protein, it's gluten free, it's seed oil free, it's processed dairy free, it's cost effective. I don't need to cook it. I don't need to clean pans. I can quickly rinse it all. I can get 800 calories. I can get 1,500 calories in that shake if I want. I can make it chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. My kids, I can make it for my kids, myself, all at the same time, and it will only cost me something like $4 to $6 a shake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love shake because I do it for the protein, I do it for all the other things. And there's one time I was talking to my health coach and I was looking at the calories in my shake and it was like 1,000 calories. And I says, no wonder I can't lose weight. And so I started taking out things like I don't put oil in mine, but I put almond butter, which is
Uh-huh.
the same thing, right? So I took that out, and then I was using a banana, and I took that out. But now, then my doctor says, "Hey, you need to improve. You need to have more calories." So then I went and put the things back into my shake. But yeah,
And that's why it's customized.
that's
That's, hey,
right.
don't judge it, guys. Take it and make it your own, and then work with a coach to continue to critique. And so if maybe you can relate with what she just said. Bananas, what's the problem? Well, it's 25 grams per banana and it will spike your glycemic index.
Yes.
One caveat is you could minimize the amount of
Yes.
bananas.
Yeah.
You could also add more fiber so it reduces the glucose spike. Fiber helps to regulate glucose spike. Another thing she could do is she could start using green bananas because it's lower in sugar and higher in resistant starches that feed short chain fatty acids in the colon. You
Nice.
see what I did? So it's not that bananas are the devil. That's not the problem. That's where we all get freaked out. Oh, this is bad. You got to realize
I
I
know bananas are good
gosh.
for you, but they're like 150 calories in those things. So,
Well, but it's in, you know what? So it's about figuring out but you see how we just maneuvered around bananas? There was like
right.
3 or 4 variables we could change around that same identity of a food. And that's where we get lost. We're just saying, what's the perfect combination generically of foods? I need to have rice, I need to have banana, I need to have avocado and chicken. It's not working. And now it's saying, well, rice, chicken, avocado, and banana don't work. You go, no, 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 no. That's just the foundational idea. You haven't gotten down to the root of it. And that's where I failed with IBD for years because I was demonizing certain foods. I was demonizing certain plant foods or certain meats or certain, fruits. Like I couldn't handle grapefruit. I couldn't handle kiwi. So now I'm thinking I'm allergic to kiwi. No, you're just not ready for it. Let's open everyone up to this idea and get everyone excited about this real quick. Metaphorically, let's go back to the knee. If you hurt your knee and you try to do jump rope on day 3
My
of
goodness.
rehab for the knee, you'd be worse off than you were on day 2. You'd be
Yeah.
physically more worse. But if I told you to wait 3 months to do jump rope on the same knee and you did physical therapy properly for this 3 months, and then you went to jump rope on day 90,
Mhm.
you would get a healing response. It would be effective. It would further your ability to run. Same knee, same problem, same physical therapy, done under different strategies with different variables, has two polar opposite results.
Nice. Good
It's the
analogy. Good analogy. I like that.
the
Yes.
skin in the gut. Why can't you handle kiwi? It's acidic. This is a acidic fruit that's great for you. It's high vitamin C. It can help with constipation. Well, are you having diarrhea? Are you having constipation? You have to understand the root strategy behind kiwi.
Mhm.
And if you've got ulcerations, if you've got inflammation, that kiwi, those acidic fruits are going to further exacerbate the problem. You need alkalizing non-acidic fruits to start.
Right. Right.
Pear, skinned apple, banana, blueberry, right? And then you go, well, Dane, I can't, I heard berries are really good for me, but every time I eat blackberries and raspberries, I feel worse. They have high
Yes.
seeds and they have
Yes.
fiber. The highest fiber fruit is raspberry. It's not that you can't take it, you're not ready. You're not allergic. You're
Yes.
sensitive because you have an injured gut.
Right. Right.
That's what I want everyone to take away today. That's the epiphany I want you to realize is that you haven't been smited by life. You're not just this chronically diseased person. You have an injured body you can't see,
Yes.
feel, or touch. And
Yes.
the people you rely on don't know how to help you repair it. They only know how to suppress the inflammation.
Right.
Cortisone
Yes.
suppress the inflammation. Biologics suppress the inflammation. Immunomodulators suppress the inflammation. What about repair? What are
Yeah.
we doing at a doctor's office to repair, to rebuild? Because if you
That's
look at the work you have to do to rebuild the knee, that's like 4 to 5 days a week of work for 6 months, 7 months. So if I've got mucus, blood, constant, like what is my plan to repair?
yeah.
And there isn't a plan. There's just suppress. to suppress, stop. And it's just like, keep eating what you want. That's crazy.
Uh, Well, the good news is looking at you and looking at my brother, and we know that it just like you're talking about repairing your knee, that you can repair your gut, repair your mitochondria, then you can eat all the foods you want, I think. But you're healing your gut, right?
Let's put this way. I'll leave everyone with this. My goal for you is I want you to be able to eat whatever you want,
Yes.
whenever you want, however you want. And I know you're thinking, Dane, that's crazy. That just sounds like some marketing thing. Nope. Here's how you do it. I want you to build a life where you only desire to eat food that is actually making you happy and healthy. Do you desire to poison yourself? Because I don't. So I eat what I want. I just don't desire to poison myself. Number two is I eat everything under the context of food philosophy. That's a phrase I came up with, how I teach people how to take back their life from food fear and be able to eat a variety of food. So I can assess the risk of any type of food at any moment in time. So what I mean is, you have to be able to look at the food and assess where you are, what's happening in your body, what are the potential attributes of the food that could be dangerous, and then make a choice.
Mm.
The rule of food philosophy is not whether a food is good or bad, thinking chicken's bad for me, avocado's bad for me, grains are bad for me. Then the cardinal rule is the manner at which food is prepared. If you prepare the perfect piece of chicken wrong, you're going to have a negative reaction. If you prepare the perfect, a GMO glyphosate sprayed piece of broccoli, you could still not get 10, 15 bloody bowel movements a day from that broccoli if it was prepared different. Meaning the cardinal rule is how it's prepared. Think of a baby. Is a baby allergic to a steak? No, but they don't have molars to
Don't
break.
have it right. They can't process it, right?
So I hope that's a big epiphany for you. Find the consistencies, realize you're not alone, and get involved with a community that is like-minded, that wants to do what you want to do. If you have IBD, make sure you click the link here, and we're going to take care of you. We're going to give you a free session to help you out and see if there's integrity and trust, and if we can really get you massive results.
That's amazing. All right. So this is the time to tell us about your SHIELD program, or SHIELD. What does that stand for, and how do you help people with your company, Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, help them, take control of their life and their IBS? And IBS, IBD, Crohn's, colitis, the whole thing.
Yeah, Shield is my life passion of building what I needed when I was chronically sick and nothing could help. When my family had spent over 30, 40, $50,000 as a middle class, regular middle family, and I was sick for 4 or 5 years, stuck in a wheelchair, housebound for a year, told I had a surgery, failed biologics. It's my passion, my life passion for building what I needed. And it's about getting massive results and having massive impact first. And it's a metaphor for, well, first as an acronym for supplements, herbs, imagination, exercise, lifestyle, and diet. Build your shield. Don't just try to do the shield. So customize it to you. And there's thousands of people doing the shield. We all grow together. What's working for you? What are you working? So you can cherry pick from everyone. We can do anything. Everything is fluid in the shield. And then it's also a metaphor for your ability to go after life and be courageous against stress. How many of us are sick and are scared?
Shield, yes,
We're
yes.
sick and we're scared to get the job. We're scared to get on the plane and go spend 2 weeks in Tokyo. We're scared to go to we're stuck on the highway. We're scared to get something at the convenience store. We're scared we're going to develop some life-threatening problems. We're scared of all of this stuff. We don't have anywhere to really get self-empowered, take our power back, take our life back. And we need a community. We need leadership. We need integrity around that. We need training around that. And that is your shield.
Yeah, what I like about it is diet is the last thing. I love it. You got to do all those other things first before you get to the diet. It's amazing. All right. So tell our listeners where they can contact you. What's your website? What's your social media? I know Shield is it's a course, right?
It's a program. Yeah, it's a lifetime program. So once you're in for life. We have members we talk with every week who've been in the program for 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. And so it's not just like a simple meal. of a course, but we do offer in the program one-on-one private coaching that's involved. So you can learn all this. Just schedule a free session, no hassle, no obligation. If you have IBD or even IBS and you're curious about how you can help your health, Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle.com. You can't miss us. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. Dane Johnson is me. You can check us out. You won't miss us. You'll be able to find that. And all over, we have a place where you can book your free session and learn more about us. And just Google us, check us out, do some research. We post a testimony every single week on YouTube. And you can just type in Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle on YouTube, and you'll see hundreds of people sharing their stories. And you can meet those people in the program, which is really cool. And they will share what worked for them and how they do it. And we do case studies and we do so much cool stuff. And I just feel blessed and honored to be here. And I hope some of the stuff we talked about today could really serve people and help people and give them that hope and a few aha moments they can take and use today.
That's amazing. So, we started off talking about my brother. I guess we could end talking with him. So he's in a right now where he's managing it. Would somebody like that's gone through where he's managing and he's maybe got to the other side but still have the disease, would he benefit from your program?
Yeah, in my opinion, right? It's an opinion, right? To say if someone's going to benefit or not. It would have to be about what, say, for example, your brother or anyone else out there who's had surgeries and they've gotten to a stable place. The
Yes.
questions I would ask for them is, how much do you feel like you still want to be trained and need to be trained on self-empowerment? How much do you still feel at risk around food or future issues? How
Mm.
much do you feel like there are some deeper problems you want to discover? Like you want to do functional lab work? Do you want someone to go over your stool analysis, your urine analysis, your mycotoxin analysis, or heavy metals or environmental toxins? Do you want someone to more deeply look at inflammatory markers? So even though you're not seeing major symptoms, is your body still in a chronic state of inflammation, which will lead to further issues of disease? So for me, my opinion, my humble opinion in all this is functional medicine is the most valuable training a human can get in modern day civilization. There's not anything that's more valuable because without your health, it doesn't matter what you know about AI or you know about tech or you know about computers. Without your health, you cannot thrive, you cannot survive, and you really can't be happy. I think it's very hard for the human body to be in a state of happiness if we don't have any energy and we can't get away from a bathroom or we lose our ability to run or jump or walk or be free, right? That's worth more than this currency thing. And so I think that we've made a big mistake by outsourcing our training around the connection to earth and connection to the body and understanding biology and understanding gut health, spiritual health, nervous system health. So, in my opinion, if I'm anyone right now in the world, I am getting curious. I'm finding leadership. I'm finding places to start learning what I want to learn about now, right? Like, what am I interested? Is it food? Is it supplements? Is it thyroid? Is it mental health? Is it heart health? Is it GI health? I'm finding a home. I'm finding leadership of people who I believe have high integrity, high trust, and I can connect with others, and then start building a life that moves me into a healthier position while I still feel in balance, while I still like my life. Because when I started in natural medicine, I failed because I hated the lifestyle of trying to be healthy. It was isolating, didn't taste good, it was expensive, it was overwhelming, and it felt like a sales pitch and it felt like voodoo.
Mm.
I had to work, I had to spend a fortune. And I'm not, my family, very middle class. I grew up in a house that cost $125,000, just so you know, in the middle of Virginia. It was like, all I ate was gluten. So I'd be looking at your brother and saying, what are your values, brother? Like, what do you want to do? Where are you? Are you happy where you are? Sure. And I would also tell him that, look, everything that you learn in natural medicine can only help conventional medicine work better. We are not anti-conventional. We are not anti if people have had to go through certain things or have to stay on biologics or have had certain surgeries. We want to empower people. We want to put it all together. We want to shake hands with every conventional doctor in the country. And we want to say, how can we support our clients? Because it's about the patients, it's about the clients. How can we get them a better life? How can we make sense of how you're feeling, what you're experiencing physically, emotionally, spiritually, and help you find the best life? And so that you can be healthier than other people who consider themselves normal and reduce your
Right.
chance of the real deadly horsemen, the heart disease, the cancer, right? The hospital accidents is like the third leading cause of death in the United States.
Yeah.
So if we can reduce all that and we can empower ourselves, again, I think integrative functional medicine done right, simplified to your personal needs, take it light, small steps, scale it up, is the most valuable thing a person worth $1 or a person worth $100 billion could invest in today.
Oh, yes, of course. Money doesn't buy health, that doesn't buy happiness. Yes. But I love what you say. You love what you say. And, he is, or anyone that's in that position is probably just managing it and probably scared it will come back. So yeah, what you're talking about is taking the bull by the horn and understanding and making sure that you stay healthy. I love it. I love it. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, listen, this was a learning experience for me because, like I said, my brother has it. I didn't really understand it, other than I know that he was in pain. He had to have surgery. Tells me about this pressure. And he had to get two surgeries because the first one didn't work. So, but now talking to you, Dane, I now understand it in an hour.
Well, let me give a few pieces of advice just to your family members. I just want to say hello, and say thank, just your sister's amazing. Um, I would just say to you guys, one thing is don't get overwhelmed with all this and try to just put one or two things in that can start to get you some results. And it can be like an anti-inflammatory, like curcumin, fish oil. It could be a digestive enzyme is really big. Digeszyme by Designs for Health I really like. You can check that out. It's on Amazon. I have discount codes if you guys ever want it, especially members. So it like find little things you can do, or like meditation, or walks, grounding. Find little things you can do where you can start to see that, hey, I'm feeling better. And then as you start to get some ROI, you're going to get more excited about adding more. So don't feel like you have to be a Jedi in the beginning. So maybe it's just a little bit of nutrition changes, maybe a few just new supplements or herbs, a few things for your nervous system can go a long way. And a year or two from now, that will blossom into a beautiful forest of possibilities in self-empowerment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, I love speaking to people who are passionate, who wants to make a difference in the world. And I see Dane, I see that that's what you're doing. So amazing. And there's a lot of people that suffer from IBS. So, this conversation is I'll also talk to my sister, and have her join your program because she's at the IBS stage. Is probably going to get to IBD because she's got, she's
Just shoot me an email. Shoot me an
yes.
email if you need anything. And everyone out there, just reach out, connect. You can email us. You can get on a free call. These calls, there's no obligations, no hassle. You
Right,
got to build trust and integrity with whoever you work with.
right.
And
Yes.
you need authentic, transparent leadership, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, amazing. All right, so I got your website. You're saying your Instagram is the same thing, or is it under your name?
Crohn's Colitis _ lifestyle is the company Instagram, and then me is Dane Johnson 1.
Okay, awesome. All right. Excellent. Well, I'm going to have a summary of my conversation with Dane on the show page, which is myhelps.us. I will link out to his website and also link out to his social media handles. So you can definitely follow him, reach out to him. Like you said, he has a free strategy session, as well as his website. You can get involved in his Shield program. Hey, sold me. So so that's amazing. I mean, yeah, I mean your health, and it is not it is really horrible when you don't feel well. You can't eat. I mean, as you were talking, I remember someone else that was my daughter-in-law that is gluten sensitive. And she was in the hospital for 4 months and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her and all that. And after she came out, we went for lunch somewhere and she purchased a shake because they told her that's what she can eat. And she didn't even touch it because she's so afraid of, if she drinks this thing, what's going to happen to her? Because, yeah, so I'm using that
Not customizing the plan for her. They're giving her generic advice, and she's gotten generic advice so many times in her life she doesn't trust it. So when you
Yes.
hear about a generic diet or a generic shake, they go, you don't understand my case and my body,
Yeah.
and I'm the one who's going to react. And you might have other
Yes.
people say they do well, but not me. I'm that person. That's how I felt for about 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And we see that 100 times a day. You need a custom plan. You need to be heard,
Right.
and it needs to make sense. If you don't agree with your plans, if the practitioner you're working with cannot put it in layman's terms so a sixth grader could understand, and you don't agree with it, don't do it. If you
Yeah.
can't write me 2 sentences on what something's going to do for you and why you should personally do it, don't do it. That's called self-empowerment, not just following a practitioner's orders blindly.
Right.
She wasn't heard, and she didn't feel like it was meant for her.
Right,
And
right.
so she
But what
went,
I'm saying, what I was trying to get to is that you're scared to eat because you don't want to be right. You don't want the repercussions of it. So yeah, someone like your program, I love what you said.
you need to work
Understanding
with
your
a
body,
practitioner who's actually
understanding.
been in her shoes. If she works with a practitioner who's also been in her shoes,
Yes,
you
right.
keep
Yes.
these naturopaths or these MDs, they don't have any help. They have no experience with this themselves. And they can't show us testimonies of other people who've been through it or had it.
Right, right.
So it's like when you get on the phone, it's like, I specialize in this. I have hundreds of testimonies and I've had this myself. You
Yes,
go,
yes.
oh,
I
okay.
love it. I love it.
I
Yeah,
can
so
stuff you. I can talk you. You get it. So I can talk about blood in the stool, bowel movements, urgency, loss of control of bowel movements, scared, have to know where a toilet is. You can't be 15 minutes away from a toilet, or I'm severely bloated. I look pregnant all the time. I don't feel comfortable sleeping next to my partner. I mean, real stuff, real stuff. I mean, that was me. That was me for like 4 years.
wow. Yes. So listen, this is life-changing conversation. So Dane, amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your passion and helping the world and my family too. Like I said, 3 people in my family trouble with this stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. God bless, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You're very welcome. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. Today, we were talking about ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, IBS, IBD. So, yes, definitely um, uh, connect with Dane and see your life blossom and get better. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Dane. Until next time, namaste.